everyone. I'm Jeff Whelan, the host of the WB Download, and I want to invite you and welcome you to our podcast. My brother and I own and operate Whelan Builders. It's a custom home building company here in Southwest Ohio. The WB Download mostly focuses on interviewing folks associated with custom building. We stray now and then to interview people who I think are interesting and to break up the monotony of the same old podcast. I also like to highlight things that are going on in my everyday life along with our businesses. I started this podcast to help people understand the custom builder world, but to also give people a chance to hear what others have to say and highlight their expertise and experiences in life. We drop on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month with a new topic and or guest each time. I hope you join us here on the WB Download and enjoy listening and hearing stories of people in and out of the custom builder world. Welcome to the WB Download. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jeff Whelan, host of the WB Download, and here at Whelan Builders in Westchester, Ohio. Today is Tuesday, April 28th. Welcome to the WB Download. Hey, this weather, I listened to Bob Castellini from the Cincinnati Reds and a couple other folks talking one time, and they said weather and winning is what keeps them alive. And in the farming world and in the building world, it's the same thing. Weather and winning is the two key factors of whether or not we continue to stay in business and be able to operate our business. And farming is the similar way. You got to find some wins in there somewhere. So we've had some really warm weather, lack of rain in the last several weeks, which to me means that we are getting stuff done, kicking butt, carrying on, doing a lot of good things. So home Rama update for what we've got going on out there. We just finished hanging drywall, and we're finishing drywall right now. Brick is being delivered yesterday. We made a different selection, went through, got a different kind of mortar to go with it, just to make it look a little bit different. And so we got that corrected. If you all recall, the brick that we originally selected had the color that they put in the kiln to make that brick was in Iran, and Mr. Trump didn't allow us to be able to get that from Iran. So we had to make a new selection. That's what every day, it's pushing 10, just chucking and jiving, and dipping and diving, trying to figure out how to operate every single day. And those are the kind of things that come up. So, hey, I also wanted to mention that Tanya Manchia just started with us last week, was her first week here. She replaced Carrie here as the office manager, bookkeeper that we have at Whelan Builders, and just all around good person. And you know what, one of the things that we do here when we hire somebody is we go through a phone interview, and then if they make that, then I'll bring them in for an in-person interview. And if they make that, the next time that we meet, they will interview with every single person in the company, and they all sit down with them for 5 or 10 minutes and just talk to them. We do that for a couple reasons. One is I want that person that we're hiring to understand how important this is to everybody here, that they join the team, and how important it is to me. And then also that the team gets this, they're freaking out because they're a really good group of people. And then they got to start looking around going, oh my gosh, what if, we get this new person coming in here, we need to inspect them and make sure that they're going to be all right. And sometimes, really the whole point of this is, do they see something that I don't see, good or bad? So you get through all that, then you got to do a drug test and a background check, and then we're rolling on. So, Tanya jumped through all the hoops. I'm grateful that she, went through all that stuff, and now she's here. And my wife, Shannon, sat down with her for a long time. And then Shannon's also been training her for the last week and a half, and coming in and doing a lot of different things. So I'm grateful for that. She's done this job for a long time and understands the particularities of it. So it's really helpful to have her here. So welcome, Tanya. Her birthday was last week, 3 days after she started here. So we kind of dropped the ball on dinners and lunches and all that stuff, but we're going to get her next year because I know she's still going to be here then. So welcome. I think I mentioned this last week, but we're starting this party barn up here in Westchester. And this is, again, we built these people's house, and now we're getting ready to do this other project with them. And this thing is unbelievably cool. It's just, we call it a party barn, but it's got so many different uses that's going to happen to it. I mentioned this because, for one, we signed a contract on it, and we're doing a lot of different things to prep work to get it going. But I'm never so more grateful than when we continue to work for families. Continue to, we build a house and then we come back and we build a pool house, or we come back and build a party barn, or we come back and finish a basement. We do things for these people, and I love it. Because typically those are the really, really good people that we get to work with. They're great people that we get to work with, and we want to continue the relationship, and they want to continue the relationship. So, as I've always said, there's a mutual respect in my long-term relationships in my life, and that's what makes them great. And I feel like this is the same thing. So, we're absolutely grateful. Other than that, we moved some people into a house that we finished out in Cleves a couple weeks ago, and so it was. When I first moved back from college, I was living in Miamitown, and we were farming in Cleves and over in Bright. And so I was familiar with Cleves. The only disappointing part about this job is that the Round Table restaurant was removed from Cleves. I don't know how long ago, and they had an awesome pizza burger. So when I first went down there to start thinking about building this house, I was pretty excited. But then I realized it was gone, and then I was pretty disappointed. But nonetheless, we got this house done. These people moved in, and it's a really, really cool looking house. That just the colors and the design that we had going on with this thing. So again, we're grateful for them and happy to see them guys get moved in over there. But it just shows you, when people say where you build at, we say all Southwest Ohio, and that's pretty true, from Anderson to Cleves, and we're going from the river up to the 275 belt up to around Dayton area, covering a lot of ground. But if we have really great people that want us to build their house, and it all the things fit for each of us, for the customer and for us, that's what we want to do, and that's where we're going. But on the farm, we're still we've been breeding cows. We got a Red Bull at home, and he's breeding a couple cows already that we have there. We're getting ready to do some stuff with him, and make him famous. And then also, right now Cody's just started his baseball league for Panel Barn Lumber in the last 2 weeks, and this is something that's new for us. It's a West Side team, so I'm super grateful for those coaches that are over there. This is a high level baseball deal, and Cody's learning every single time that he's playing around these guys, and that's what we wanted him to do. So he's really doing that really good. Baseball and cows. Raina made the cheer team. It was a super fret about a week and a half ago, and just so nervous because she had to try out, and there was a lot of girls trying out. Real nail biter. She was so nervous. I felt so bad for her. She got up in the middle of the night before, was sick to her stomach. And then ultimately she made it, and so proud of her. And so she's so determined and so particular about things that she does. She's probably going to be a builder someday. It's amazing what she does, but she works hard. So it's cheers and baseballs and cows. And this is farming weather, man. I mean, these guys are out planting. So everywhere you guys look, if you're out here in the country somewhere and you can see these guys coming down the road, make sure you make way for them. They're trying to make a living. They're not trying to piss you off. They're trying to make a living. Make way for them and cheer them on, because farming is an awesome community, and it's something a good way of life. But we've been doing a lot of things on the farm too, getting caught up just because of the dry weather, and prepping our fields to get these guys turned out so they're eating grass all year long. So our guest today is Brad Fisher with SRS Willoughby Supply. He's our shingle supplier, and we also have Jeff Herkins with CertainTeed Shingles, CertainTeed Building Products, that's going to be on the show with us here. And like I said, I never spent a lot of time with Brad, but we've done a ton of business together for a really long time, and so this happens a lot in our business where I don't get a lot of FaceTime, a lot of camaraderie with these guys, but we continue to do business with him. He does an unbelievable job. He's there when you need us, when we need him, that's why one of the reasons why we continue to do business with them. The way we started doing business with them is through our CBUSA buying group. And I knew a guy that was up there. I knew a guy from a long time that was the store manager up there, Willoughby. And he was super excited about being a shingle guy. And he came into the CBUSA group, and that's how we started doing business with them. Now, with CertainTeed, that's the same thing. We had an opportunity to start buying CertainTeed shingles. I can't remember who we were buying from. And so what I want, and you'll hear us talk about this today, what I wanted out of a shingle supplier and a manufacturer is somebody that's going to stand behind their product, somebody who is going to help us through any issues that we may have, whether it's product failure or it's an install failure or whatever we've done together to make this thing happen, whether it's right or wrong. We want somebody who's going to support us. So CertainTeed definitely does that. Brad and SRS, they definitely do that. And so it's nice to have that partnership together. But I was interested to talk to Jeff as well as a manufacturer and hear about some different things that he's going to talk about on the show today. But I'm so happy that these guys came on the show. I'm so happy that they were able to sit down and I got to learn more about them and grow this relationship and then look forward to what we have coming up in the future. So this podcast is about roofing. And once again, it is about these awesome people that are on the Wheel and Builders team who are here as a representative, not as a salesperson. They're not trying to sell me something. They're trying to represent something. They're trying to help us design houses. They're trying to help us improve the quality of these houses. They're trying to do a number of different things, not just trying to make a quick sale. So that's what we want, and that's who we have on our team. So thank you again, Brad Fisher, and thank you again, Jeff Herkins, for being here on the WB Download. Welcome to the show, fellers. Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. Once again, like I said, today our guest is Brad Fisher with SRS, and we are with Jeff Herkins from CertainTeed Shingles. And our guests today are our number one only shingle supplier. CertainTeed has been a shingle that we've used for many, many years now. And like anybody, you know, that we have on this show, and then they're partners of ours. They're here for a reason because you guys do a great job, and it's got a great product. And we want to talk about it today. So, Brad, you know, you work for SRS, which is the distributor, right?
Yep. Yes, sir.
And Jeff, you are with CertainTeed, who's the manufacturer.
Correct.
So we got the big dogs here for the shingles, man. That's what we want to know. Yep. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Brad. You and I have done business for a long, long time.
Yes.
We don't get a lot of FaceTime together, and thank God for the breakfast, because I think one time you came up at the trade breakfast and you were like, "Hey, I'm Brad," and I'm like, "Oh, no kidding." So Jeff, this is the first time we've met, and I'm glad we're doing this. So Brad, tell me a little bit about you. Where'd you grow up at? Where'd you come from? What made you want to be a shingle salesman?
I grew up in St. Leon, Indiana. I actually got framing houses with my uncle when I was 15, 16 years old, and been in the business ever since in one way, shape, or form. Worked for a roofing contractor, Joel Cornelius Roofing, down in Harrison.
Yeah.
He had a little hardware store and things like that. So I started there, and they broke me in the right way, taught me, you know, a little bit about everything.
I didn't realize you did that. Worked for Joel.
Yeah, low slope, steep slope. I didn't go out on the roofs or anything, but I did. He had a hardware store, like I said, so I started delivering shingles there for him, probably 1996 to 96, 97 to 2000. And in 2000, I started what was Allied Building Products, which is a competitor of SRS, but they were recently bought out several years ago. Started with SRS and end of 2017, been with them ever since, bounced around a little bit, and here we are today.
Nice. Did you go to East Central?
I did.
Did you?
I did, yes.
Did you ever eat at Christie's? Was that restaurant?
Christina's.
Christina's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was good.
It was good.
We were on our way out there for something a couple months ago, and I was like, we're going to stop telling all my kids about it. And we get there, and they tore it down.
Yeah. It's a gas station now.
It must have been that good.
She actually, I think she retired several years ago and ended up getting sick and ended up passing away. So they tore the whole building down and built a gas station. The gas station's changed hands a couple different times and built storage units out there. They got two houses now behind it.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah, nope,
There's houses behind it. And they're actually putting a little car lot behind there now.
no kidding.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
it went from a restaurant to a multi-use
Yeah.
property, man. That was a hidden gem. But,
Yeah.
So Jeff, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where'd you come from? Are you local here?
I am local.
Yeah?
I am local. I kind of grew up in Westchester, so I am originally from...
You kind of did, or you did?
Well, I'm originally from Westchester, Pennsylvania.
Oh, no kidding.
And moved out here with my family. My dad was transferred in 78 and moved out here to Westchester.
So you moved from Westchester to Westchester.
Correct.
Yes. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've never met anybody that did that.
Yeah. My dad, he worked for CertainTeed.
Yeah.
And we moved out here and he sold insulation for CertainTeed. And then my brother works for CertainTeed as well. And I'm in the family business.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah. So grew up over here in Westchester, and the time where there was only 3 developments and it was all cornfields. And
Was it still just one school?
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And, have 3 kids here in Westchester, and I have one in the Army that's out in Hawaii and serving for us. And my youngest daughter's going to be attending Miami University.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
So she
They're
starts
on a
next
roll.
year. She goes to West, and I have my oldest daughter went to Miami, and she's a home designer as well.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Man, you got this business surrounded.
I do.
Miami is all we for some reason we live in Lebanon, and for some reason we do a lot of stuff up in Miami, and we're always traveling back and forth through there. But I always have to give a plug for Bello Pizza up on Brick Street. A friend of mine owns that place, and they do these homemade really cool pizzas, and they have this hot honey and get up pizza that'll just eat you up. It's good. It's really good. So so let's talk about the differences between what you guys do. So you're a manufacturer and you're a supplier.
Yep.
And for some reason in this world, most manufacturers will not, and they're probably smart this way because they don't have to deal with people like me. But most of the time, the manufacturers won't sell directly to the public.
That is correct.
And you have to sell to a distributor. And sometimes there's like 2 or 3 or 4 distributors in there. But so how does this? What is the relationship, and how does that work with you guys? What does SRS love about CertainTeed? You guys obviously need product to sell.
Yeah.
CertainTeed. What do you? And we'll get to you in a minute. Let's go back. Let's go back to the main man. Let's hear it. What do you got going on?
So CertainTeed's a great partner of ours. We have been buying from them for forever and a day.
Yeah.
They do a very good job getting us product when we need product. The representation here is very good with Jeff, and that's what you look for in a manufacturer at the local level. You want to make sure that the representation that Jeff provides for us, when there is a problem, there is an issue, we can get it addressed right away. Our job is to make sure that his product gets delivered clean, no damage, make sure that it's on time, and so that your building and is not delayed in any way, shape, or form, and we continue to do business and not have any issues.
Yeah.
And progress goes on.
So about SRS, what does SRS stand for?
It is Suncoast Roofing, or Suncoast Supply. It started Suncoast Roofing Supply. Sorry.
Yeah.
It started back in 2008.
Yeah.
We grew up into an $11 million business, and in 2024 we were bought out by Home Depot.
No kidding.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes, we were bought out by Home Depot in 24. Continued to grow. We're continuing to add different facets to our company, different profit centers. We have a hardscapes division, which is our heritage division. And then we also have pool supplies. We just recently got into interiors. We bought GMS Drywall. It's a drywall company, interior company, which allows us to buy even more products from CertainTeed. So they're an even stronger vendor partner for us, from the siding portion to the roofing to the interiors. We got all facets covered for CertainTeed. They have a stone product as well that we have access to, and it's been a great relationship.
Man, when I first started doing business with you, it was Willoughby Supply, which was a family, right?
Yeah.
And then SRS, and then now it's Home. Have you ever read the book Inside the Home Depot?
No.
You should read it. I don't read books.
No.
And because my daughter the other night, she's like, "How many books have you ever read in your life?" I'm like, "I think it's 5." And Inside the Home Depot was one of them, and somebody had told me about it, and it was how those dudes got started, and they would line their shelves up with a single box, and then if you needed it, they would guarantee it would be there by a certain time until they got on their feet and started going. And they came from another company, I think, but it's really interesting to see how they got started. Man, that's a big old company. So what's it like? I mean, one of the toughest things, we had our lumber company on here a couple weeks ago, and talking about holding supplies. Like how much stock do you have? How much do you keep on the ground, and how do you balance that out? I mean, I think you can see for us when I'm bidding jobs, that it's going to be probably in the next 6 months that it's going to be there.
Right.
So you don't need to gangbusters get stuff in there, but man, if you got a big, massive builder that's building a bunch of houses, you got to keep a lot of product in there and keep it turning. And then you run the risk of them going, "Oh, I found it for $1 cheaper down the street," and then you get screwed. How do you balance that?
So we have a regional purchaser that looks and tracks everything for us and looks at the buying trends of different colors, different things. If we know we have to stay constant communication with customers to see if there's any big projects coming up, things like that. The advantage that we have is we have four different locations here locally. We have one in Dayton, Middletown, Cincinnati, and Florence that we can pull from. Everybody stocks CertainTeed there. We can grab it if we need it. Will we run out sometimes of colors? Yeah, if it's a red, a blue, a green, or something of that nature. But the standard colors we pretty much have in stock at all times. Again, if we run across the project, it's 1,000, 1,500 squares, 2,000 squares. We have to make sure that we're calling Jeff. Jeff, hey, this project's coming up. How are we going to get it there? And then Jeff ends up helping us do that.
Nice. That's good. So that Middletown one's like less than. I think we're on the same road. We live on Union Road up there, and you guys are right, and so you're less than 2 miles from us. But I think, do you focus more on new construction builder work, or is it I call it retail, which is usually dealing directly with homeowners, or you're redoing stuff, or do you get walk-ins? Can the general public come and buy from you?
They can, but that's not our general focus.
Right.
Our focus is the professional contractor, the professional builder.
Nice. That's a better way to put it.
Remodeler. We will take the do-it-yourself or the DIYer, but that's not our main focus. We sell all different facets, because we sell siding, we sell windows, we sell doors, we sell low slope commercial roofing, we sell steep slope commercial. Yeah,
man,
steep
you got it going on with the steep slope.
Yeah,
that should be an auctioneer's chant.
I know. I
steep slope
roofing
from SRS.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we sell so many different things, and we don't really. The in-home sale is not our cup of tea. The builder deals with you as the builder deals with the homeowner. The roofing contractor deals with the homeowner. Do we get called out every now and then to go to go look at things and try to help solve a problem? Yeah, I like that. I mean, if we can make somebody feel good, make their problem go away,
solve some problems.
I mean, I want to interject. I mean, kudos to the sales reps at SRS. They just don't have to know roofing and siding, right?
Right.
That's my expertise. And they have to know so much more, and they have to understand how to sell each of those products, such as windows, right? I would have no clue on how to sell a window. They have to sell windows and doors and, different facets from siding and roofing. They have to know so much, their education. So
it's important.
They do a good job at that.
I'm glad you said that, and thinking about coming back to our relationship with CertainTeed, and because you were talking about the things that you represent, and one of the main things that I look for in manufacture, and the guys that I dealt with before you were there, Brad, and we talked about it too, is I want somebody who's going to be there for us, be there for our customers, and if something goes wrong with a shingle, then I don't want somebody coming out there, and this is why we do business with Pella Windows, is because they don't come out with an excuse book. I mean, remember concrete companies used to have that. It was a binder 6 inches thick, and then you had a problem. They come out there and they go, "Oh, that's on page 9,678. Here's what your problem is." And I don't want to listen to that crap. My homeowners don't want to listen to that crap. They paid $4 or $5 million for a house, and you're going to come out and go, "Oh, well, here's why that's screwed up." Just shut up. Let's fix it. So that's what we want is representation, a peace of mind, a program, something to do to help us get through it. And we're not asking for things for free. We're asking for a partnership, So that's something that we really get out of CertainTeed. Plus, it's an excellent product. It's something that we use quite a bit. It's one of the, roofing is so, can be so complicated because of, and if you ask me, this is my opinion, is because most of these guys running around these neighborhoods going, "Hey, I'm going to show you how to get a new roof for free." Right. And if you talk to my insurance salesman or my insurance rep, he'll tell you that 99.9% of the roofs in the United States are installed improperly, according to whatever manufacturer specs, according to codes, according to whatever. Just because a nail might be set too much, because the line might be off a little bit, because whatever the case is. So it becomes a really, really important part of what we do. Not just because you don't want any leaks in your roof, but because you need to make sure that everything that's going on there. So CertainTeed, let's talk about why would I want to buy a CertainTeed shingle?
Well, let me tell you a little bit about
not just because of the good representation, right?
Sure, that's a good part of it, because I will be there to help you if
I'm
there's
only
any
here for the
issues.
sales.
Yeah. Let me tell you a little bit about CertainTeed. So CertainTeed was established in 1904 in Kansas City, and we grew from there. And we're headquartered in Philadelphia, and we've got multiple roofing and siding plants all over the country. We do interior and exterior products. So we do roofing, siding, insulation. We do ceilings. We do the whole gamut of interior and exterior products. Drywall, those type of things. So we were bought in 1984 or so by a company called Saint-Gobain. Saint-Gobain is a French-owned company, and they are over 360 years old.
Man.
So think about that. And that's what I press upon my contractors, is that you have a company that's older than this country.
Yeah.
And we stand behind our product
Nice.
the whole time, right? We have a company that's been around a long time, that if there's an issue, we have the financial backing and the knowledge to take care of the issue.
What was their main company? I mean, were they always in the roofing business?
Well, they're one of the world's largest building manufacturing companies.
Okay.
They do auto glass.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So if you look at some high European cars, they're Saint-Gobain. That's what they started with.
That name just sounds cool. You know what I mean? Like Saint-Gobain. I think I'm going to name a dog that or something. Come here, Saint-Gobain.
So it's got a good future. And you ask why CertainTeed, right? So our manufacturing plant is in Avery, Ohio, and we have one of the heaviest products out there. We've got a lot of positive from our algae to our impact rating. And you talked about roofing and different things. My focus is really, a roof is not a roof, right? A roof just doesn't keep the rain out, right? It's the first thing the customer or your homeowner is going to see when they drive in every night. It's the last thing they're going to see when they back out of their driveway. So it's an investment. And that's kind of how my approach is with roofing. I know it's not exciting. It's like going out to buy tires, but it's a necessary evil, right? But I want to put a little frill behind it.
Yeah.
And when you get the Landmark Pro with the extended color or the high def max color and the Landmark, it really pops. So
I think I always compare, because people think that when you say a 30-year shingle that they get a 30-year warranty. I'm like, we're going to come out and take care of your shingles for 30 years, and it doesn't work that way. And I always compare shingles to tires because it's the same kind of calculation, right? I mean, mileage on a tire, you buy a 50,000 mile tire. If you run it 50,000 miles, you're probably going to be riding on the steel belts. And if you run your shingle 30 years, it's probably going to last you longer than that, but it wears down, right? I mean, is that, am I right on that?
It's technically what they call a limited lifetime warranty. It's a 50-year warranty for a shingle.
Yeah.
So the first 10 years of that product, it's called the sure start period. That's where the manufacturer takes care of any manufacturer's defect, from color onto granule loss if it falls into the manufacturer's defect, right? We will take care of that. Then you have the 11th year starts to prorate throughout the course of it.
Yeah, 50 years. So and I've heard you say this before, I thought, but they call it like a lifetime warranty and
limited lifetime.
Yeah, limited lifetime, but it's not 30 years anymore. I mean, that was always a big thing.
Right.
Now it's like a lifetime shingle. So
several years back, they changed it from 25, 30, 40, 50. They put a limited lifetime on it now, and it's all prorated. First 10 years, like you said, out of the wrapper, manufacturing defects, things are all covered. But if after that, it's like you said, it's just like a tire. It's prorated, so it's you get the value of whatever's perceived as.
It's a gauge. What do they call that gauge? The one that goes up and measures the
tire depth.
Yeah. The depth of it. Yeah. So throughout that period, so after that, 10th year and that 11th year, it starts to prorate. So really, technically, at 38 years, that customer would get something. It may not be much, but they would get something for that roof.
So in order to keep your warranty on this roof, in order to make sure that you're not going to have any questions on it, do you have to have CertainTeed underlayment? Do you have to have CertainTeed vents, CertainTeed everything all the way across the board? I mean, obviously we want to do that, but
sure. On the extended warranties, yes. On a general out of the box warranty, usually you just have your starter. You can have your underlayment, your shingles, and your hip and ridge.
Yeah.
Right. You can use a different ventilation system if you wanted.
Do they still make a 3-tab shingle? I mean, is there people still putting it on there?
And you would be amazed. There are builders out there that still use it.
Yeah.
In the area. And in Texas, they sell millions and millions of squares and that's, of 3-tab.
Yeah.
So that's what they use.
Texas is a little different animal too.
Correct.
Yeah,
they get hail every other day.
They do whatever they want to do in Texas.
And they get hail every time they turn around. So they're just wiping it off, putting it back on.
But I mean, that's a good point too, right? I mean, that you can't use. I mean, there's products that we use that you can't use in Texas, and there's products they use in Texas that we can't use up here because of the climate, and because of the pitch of the roofs, and because of all the different things that happen. What about and I was going to start thinking about the when you're talking about a roof, the pitch, what we were talking about before, is really important to using the products of whatever product you're going to use. But then when you get into if it's a steep pitch or if it's a low pitch, you can only go to certain, what was it, a 4 before you get to having to go to flat roofs. And then you get what, and I'm just jumping around because now I'm starting to think about all this stuff, and I'm like, this could be good.
Yeah.
So I talk to a lot of people about when you supply materials. So you supply materials to SRS, and are you at all concerned about selling to certain people? And what I mean by that is you don't want to sell a shingle to somebody who just doesn't know what they're doing, and they go out there and they screw it all up, and then then they start Googling and putting all kinds of crap that CertainTeed sucks because some clown put it on there. And I know a lot of different products that have happened like that. We talk about windows all the time. I could have the best window in the world, but if I chinced on the labor to install it, now I've got the worst window in the world. Do you all get all concerned about that? Do you care about who's buying the shingles?
We do, but that's something that we can't control either.
Mm-hmm.
We always want to make sure that the end user, which is the homeowner, whether it's if you're selling them a new home or if they have an existing home and are getting a new roof or new siding or whatever, we want to make sure that they are getting what they deserve, because we ultimately, whatever that contractor is generally going to have them call me.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to call Jeff, and then we're either both going to go out there or he's going to go out there and look at it. And then he's going to call me and go, "Hey, we got a problem here.
Yeah.
This was not put on right." Or like you said, if they don't chalk their lines properly, if they get, a different exposure widths, or you can see it going up the roof, or just bad installation.
Yeah.
3 nails.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of 4.
Yeah, instead of 4.
I mean, that's such a big thing that manufacturers put specifications in on how to install it.
And another thing I think that a homeowner needs to be educated and look at too is, what area are you in? If you're in a high wind area, maybe you need to go with a heavier grade shingle, a thicker shingle, or one with a higher wind rating. in those type of areas, you need to look at when they were installed as well to make sure that, the proper installation was done. So there's a lot of things that need to be looked at, but us as the supplier, once we drop it off, we're hoping that they know what they're doing when they put it down.
But I'd imagine if you get a couple jobs where the same person you've had complaints and you're dealing with, now it becomes more of a maintenance thing for you, and then you're like, all right, we're probably going to back off.
Yeah, they usually we can figure out a way to weed that out.
Yeah.
And, to kind of interject on that, CertainTeed is a big advocate of training.
Yeah.
Okay. We have an excellent book, what we call our SAM book, and it's our application book. And we train our contractors on the proper installation. We do it a couple of ways. I help with the installation. We have different programs such as our MTV event, and we do it for roofing and siding as well. We have contractors, CertainTeed employees that come out, and they have a big van, big tractor trailer, and they open that up. They bring out the products. They bring out a fake roof, and they train right there in the parking lot on how to install the products.
We should do that. How do we get that to?
Well, we'd have to sign up for it.
Yeah,
and
we should do that at Humorama this year for all the builders before the show starts, and just have like a big thing that we do before we could be SRS and CertainTeed and
Yep.
Let's do that.
You want to try to get that scheduled?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
That would be fun. I hope that other builders are like, yeah, we're always looking to, you're not just learning, you're usually re-sparking your mind. You know what I mean? Because I was sitting in my family and my kids and I and my wife, we raise cattle too on our farm up there, and we're always learning things. And so much of what we're doing is going back and learning the shit that we already knew. You're like, oh yeah, I remember that. Let's do that. That would be fun.
Yeah. And we do all kinds. We do BBWs for our contractors where, we rent out all the football stadiums all over the country, the NFL stadiums. We had one in Detroit, and we have one coming up in Soldier Field. And we invite our contractors. Maybe we'll have 500 to 700 contractors come in, and we have classes for them. It could be finance. It could be installation. It could be best, better, good selling. It could be, all kinds of different classes that we offer for the day for those guys.
Where you been keeping this guy at, Brad? Good Lord, he's full of all kinds of tricks over there.
I know.
Man, we got to get in the door with
I like
this
how
stuff.
you said best. What do you say? Best.
See,
better, good?
I'm a big advocate of a best, better, good.
Yeah.
A good, better, best.
I see that. I heard that.
Yeah,
I
better,
picked
good.
that up. I picked that up. That was good.
That's awesome.
That was good.
Thanks.
We were talking about wind speeds and things like that you have to be careful of. Do you think that, and this is a philosophy of mine, because we build a lot of houses standalone, big, large acre stuff out by itself. And do you think that if you're dealing with an area of wind speed, when you're in a neighborhood, you have a bunch of different houses knocking that wind down. You have a bunch of different things that are happening. You're in a secluded area, as opposed to when you have a house that's out in the middle of nowhere. Now it's just getting beat up by itself all the time. I wonder if that has an effect on the shingles and the wind speeds and the things that come to it. And do you have an opinion on that? I know I'm just throwing mine.
Yeah. Do I have an opinion on it? Right. So if you look at our typical shingle, right, we have a nail track area on the shingle. It's 1.5 inches wide, right? And then we have a smaller line, what we call a common bond area. It's the toughest part of the shingle, and it's where the two shingles meet, right? And we require kind of out of the box that you put in 4 shingles between the nail track line. And, 1 inch in and 12 inches in from there is kind of where we set our standard. Right. And that's one of the things that I talk to contractors about, is that extra step that they can bring to their homeowner and say, hey, maybe there's some wind coming over this area. So maybe we take a little more time with this. And on this side of the roof, we hit in that common bond area. Right. And we explain that to the customer. Hey, this is the toughest part. We're going to put a little more effort into hitting that area so you won't have the blow-offs.
Man, that's really where a manufacturer and what you do, Brad, and what the install people need to if you're doing that extra step, that's really somebody that you wanted on that job, to be able to look at it and go, hey, this is something we're concerned about. And in case anybody wants to know, you can go to the National Weather Service and look look at wind speeds in your area, and you can look at what they were, what they have been, and to get that data. I know this because you have to do some research at some point in the last 30 years where somebody's like, my shingles are blowing off, and you have to go up and say, okay, well, did you have a windstorm? Did you have a hailstorm? Did you have some kind of storm? We're going to take care of it. But what was the cause of it? So all of those kind of different, the crap that you need to know to be able to do those things. So Brad, when you're figuring up a job, because just the way we operate, when a lot of production people, they have estimators and they'll do the takeoffs on their own. For us, we're a small company with these great big houses. We rely on you to do the takeoff for us, and we do that with everybody, not everybody, but most people. So when you're doing a takeoff, we're using CertainTeed, and you know that, and just because we do business together. How do you decide what other products we're going to use with those shingles and with the underlayment, hip and ridge, with the starter, with the ice guard, with the valleys, and all that stuff?
Based on the pitch of the roofs, what area they're being put in, if it's a 312 or an 812 or a 1012 pitch. Obviously, it's a 312. I'm ice and water and shielding the whole thing.
Yeah.
To make sure that when a nail goes through, it's stuck, it's sealed. That way, if anything sits there, there's nothing can penetrate and get down to the bottom of the roof. In the eave areas, I make sure that you have the proper ice and water shield so that no ice damming happen. Well, I shouldn't say no. The less likely of ice damming.
Trying to prevent.
Yes. Let me rephrase that. Trying to prevent that from happening.
We're just coming off of 15 inches of snow, so I'm sure everybody's heard ice damming here a lot in the last couple of weeks.
So we're trying to prevent that from happening.
Yeah.
Making sure that the valleys, any kind of valleys, they have the ice and water shield in there. Anywhere there's any kind of penetrations, making sure that you have that material that you need underneath there. And then I look at the ventilation. We have to look at that to see how much ridge area that you have. If ridge vents are not enough, then I might suggest that we throw some box vents in over here, or maybe even a power vent. The power vent is something that it doesn't run all the time. There's a thermostat, humidistat, which based upon the temperatures of the roof, the moisture in there, it'll release that so that no molding or anything happens in your attic.
Yeah.
But that's very important that your ventilation is there.
So important.
And you want generally a 50-50 split, but if anything, you want more intake than you do exhaust. So you're constantly pushing and keeping the air moving there, so that way that roof lasts. Those shingles will hold up and they will last. So there's several different things that we look at when we're putting together a roof for you.
Yeah, we switched several years ago from old fashioned tar paper to that synthetic, and what we kind of did it just because, it was like, all right, but we didn't really talk about it. What was the big switch there? What do you guys as a manufacturer want that, or is that what you guys are seeing out there in the market? How do you make those adjustments as you go through new products?
So the synthetic felt, it's a lighter product for the installer to use. Lays flatter. It doesn't wrinkle if it gets wet. Generally, the old tar paper, the old felt paper, it would wrinkle if it got wet, and then you'd have to cut it, relief cut it. Cap nail it back down, whatever. But now with the synthetic felt, you can actually leave it exposed for a little while. 30 days at the most is what.
Yeah. So we have two types of synthetic that you can install. You can kind of leave exposed for 30 up to 6 months, called Diamond Deck, right? And I know Brad talked about ventilation, right? And I explain it as the heartbeat of the roof. Right, you can have the best shingle in the world, but if you don't have the proper ventilation, your roof's not going to last.
Man, I'm glad you said that. I was wanting to talk about that.
Yeah,
keep going.
It is. In figuring out the proper ventilation for a particular roof and the different slopes is so important, and that's one of the things that we talk about. And when I come out and I visit a roof, I'm going to look at the ventilation and make sure it's proper. And believe me, our lab, when we send samples up, and if it's not properly ventilated, they'll tell you, and it has to be addressed.
It's something that's so important that people just, again, and I don't expect everyday people to understand all these different things. When we're laying up a brick wall, and you've got that gap, that air gap in between the frame wall and the brick, sometimes on a south wall, that gap will get to be 100 and something degrees inside there. And the same thing with your attic. And people are like, oh, that attic's hot up there. Do you know how hot it is? I mean, because if it's 100 degrees outside, it's probably 150, 160 degrees up there in that attic. And so what happens to the materials that surround that? You know, everybody thinks about insulation in their attic, and that's all you don't realize that heat is penetrating that plywood, penetrating the bottom of that shingle, and just kicking the crap out of it all the time, you know, just beating it up. So what you're talking about is, and again, I don't think people realize this, is in your eaves and your soffits, it's ventilated, perforated. So we want the air to travel through there and then run up through the attic, and then it almost grabs the air and takes it up through the ridge vents, or takes it out through the gable vents. We want that to get some kind of momentum. It's almost like siphoning it through there. If you don't have the proper, so I always wondered, is it something that we need to be concerned about on a big roof? You got ridge vents, you got all this kind of things. Should we be thinking about putting ventilation fans in there? Is that something that you see a lot of, Brad?
People do. They do put the attic fans in if they feel like they're not getting the proper ventilation. One of the things that you can do when you're putting ventilation is if you have box vents with ridge vents, it won't properly ventilate because it'll sit there and just circulate at the
right.
top. You want to get it from the soffits all the way up. And if you're not getting that, that's when the power vent or something of that nature comes in, to where it's actually pulling that air out and getting it out and getting it away from the roof, so that it doesn't burn up the shingles from the inside out. Yeah.
And when you say attic fan, I want to make sure people know this is a fan that's up in the attic, taking air out of the attic space, because there's people who, you ever seen one of them old attic fans that people used to put on the second floor? They put it and it just sucks all the air out of the house. And we put one of those in a guy's house a couple years ago, just because he's like, I always had one, and he was a heating and air conditioning contractor. And I'm like, all right, well, whatever you want, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, you turn that thing on, it's like,
yeah. The newer one,
doors are going like
the newer ones now, the ones that the actual, we call them a power vent, that sticks on top of the roof. It's not obnoxiously loud or anything.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, you won't even know they're on, unless you're in the second floor and it's extremely quiet. And
when you go by a commercial building, like a flat roof commercial building, you'll see those like, it looks like a globe ball spinning around like that. Is that a power fan that's ventilating something that's in? Is that something that you could do on the attic, where you could pop those things up?
A lot of times that's on a residential job, it would be called a whirly bird. We call them a whirly bird, and it's just that circulating means it's working.
Yeah,
the air's coming out and it's turning that ball. And it's same on a flat roof. It's allowing that air to get out so that it doesn't burn up the EPDM or the TPO or the PVC that's there. So that every roof has to ventilate. Every roof has to be, temperature controlled, so that it will last longer. Yeah. It'll last longer because the elements are hard enough on it.
Every time I see a flat roof somewhere, the first thing I think of is there's a reason why they invented the arc. There's a reason why they invented the pitch roof, because flat roofs suck. And I don't know why in the world we ever think it's possible. And we do it, and you got to be really, really super intrigued or in tune to what you need to be doing there.
Yeah.
That's not something that you can just let anybody do, but there's a reason why we invented the pitch roof.
Yeah. And, on CertainTeed side, we do like to educate our contractors. We do have certification programs for our contractors, right? Shingle master, and we have different levels. We train our contractors as well, the ones that are actually doing the roof.
Yeah.
Even the Spanish. We do have Spanish interpreters that we invite them in, and we sit down with them and we give them classes. We have them take an exam at the end. They get a certification on how to install properly, right? Correct, the right ventilation, how to install the shingle correctly. So it's a nice program.
I think I want to do that. I think we should do that with our guys too, just to touch them up, make sure that they're doing what they need to do. One of the things I was thinking about is in 1904, what were they doing?
It was shingles. Now
it was like asphalt shingles, what or cedar shake, or what was it?
It was. I don't know how to answer that. So I don't know what they were doing in
grass.
1904. Maybe they were putting
wheat grass on top of it.
Grass. Exactly. And I think it was some type of asphalt. Naturally, not anything like we're doing today.
Probably organic, right?
They were probably organic.
Yeah. sod and mud and clay and wheatgrass just protecting it all. That'd be super interesting to find out what those guys were doing in 1904 as a roof. I mean, it was, I don't know, in 1904 was it common for people to have a house even back then? You know, I mean, people were living in tents, and
right?
Yeah.
That's what kids say about us in 1987. Probably they're like, "What were you doing in 1987? Living in a tent?" So,
we had no phones. We have no nothing. We were outside playing. That's
right?
What we were doing.
Yeah, exactly what we were doing.
That's right. In 1987, it was long distance to call Westchester to Mason.
Yeah, it was from my brother was dating a girl in Mason, and we lived in Ross, and it was long distance. Yes. My mom and dad have a fit when they got that phone bill all the time.
Yeah. Phone ring, shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. So what else? What do we need to know about what's the most important thing when you think about, Brad, when you're thinking about selling somebody shingles and you're thinking about CertainTeed, and if I'm a builder, obviously, you know, a lot of builders are going, hey, what can I get the best deal on? We are looking to say, hey, you know, what's the best product? What do we have value wise? What belongs on our houses? And does it every situation, you know, needs a certain need there or wants a certain need or what? Tell me what it is, you know, that we're looking for. Or I can tell you what I'm looking for.
Yeah, we try to offer the best products at a very competitive price and deliver when needed. Stay on top of things, communicate extremely well, making sure that, you know, if like I said, if something does come up, something does happen, we're on top of it. We stay on top of it. Whether it's any kind of claim or anything else, you know, we've worked together for a long time, and you know, anytime I've ever had an issue, anytime I've ever had something that come up, we talk about it, and I go, hey, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure this is it, but you want to go out and take a look at it. You know, I'm pretty sure it's an install deal, or I'm pretty sure, you know, it's actually the shingle, but you're going to have to go out and take an eye on it and take a look at it. And, you know, we'll run into situations to where I call it talc, excessive talc, and it's a certain part of the roof where not all the sand, grit, whatever, that keeps the shingles from sticking together, and the wrapper come off of the shingle, and it'll sit on there, and they'll go, this roof isn't right, it is not whatever. So then I'll call Jeff will start a claim. We'll give it 60 days, usually 60 days, right? I don't put words.
Usually blends in.
It usually blends in, ends up blending in, and then it's no problem, no issue. But we're still putting that homeowner's piece of, you know, giving that builder homeowner that peace of mind that we're on top of it. We acknowledged it. We're going to take care of it if something is actually wrong. And that's all we can do as a supplier. We don't make anything. We just supply it, and we try to make sure that you're taken care of and things are done in a timely manner, and that we care. We care.
Yeah. Customer comes first.
That's so important. So. I have this conversation daily is that because we see this a lot. We've got really great people, great craftsmen that are working for us, and then at some point in time we'll start to notice a fall off, and I don't know what it is, or maybe it was we were struggling to begin with. But I always say this: everybody, these guys out there are skilled craftsmen. They have the tools, they have the capabilities to build to do whatever they're doing. But the care is what they need to be doing. They need to stop and pay attention to it and understand that if something's wrong, they need to stop. Something's wrong, they need to say something, or just take that extra step and do something better. And caring is just, you know, we're talking about shingles and roofing, and we talk less about the product and more about the people, more about the process, more about the people who are going to be there for you throughout this process. That's really what it's about. You know, I mean, you got to have a good product. I mean, no doubt. Yeah. You know, I mean, you got to have a good product for people to stand behind it. But just that just little extra care is what we need.
I mean, you touched on it before. It doesn't matter what window you put in or anything else. If it's installed properly, it doesn't matter. You can put the best of the best, and you know, it even like a vehicle, you can have a Yugo or a Mercedes, and it's going to matter if somebody forgets to tighten that bolt on that Mercedes. It's just the same as a Yugo. So
right, and CertainTeed, you know, in our world, we think about manufacturing first, right? And our company's UL certified. Okay, what that means in layman's terms is we have UL as an independent lab that comes in and tests our product. Okay. A lot of our competition's approved and we're certified. That means they can come in and they can knock at the door at in Avery up at our plant, and they can say
At any time.
At any time, they can say, "We want to see your shingles,"
Hmm.
and they just walk back out. Quality guy grabs him, walks back out. They grab a bundle of shingles, go into the lab, and they actually put it through X amount of tests.
Nice.
Right, unannounced, anytime. They can come in and certify us and do that type of thing.
And
Yeah, they have quality control managers too that are there, because
Absolutely.
we've had it at other I've had other manufacturers that and we've had everybody has issues. It's just who's going to take care of it and who's going to jump on it. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. No manufacturer's perfect. And I've had the quality control people come out and they're like, yeah, that we had a whole run of this and end up. We've gotten rid of truckloads of shingles before because of it.
Yeah.
And CertainTeed would have if something like that were to ever happen, I have no doubt in my mind that they wouldn't come out and do that, and that's what makes them a great partner for us.
Yeah. And I think that somebody who puts those things in place is somebody who cares, and all of it revolves around and not just in the name of customer service, but hey, this is something that's important. We're going to be a manufacturer. We got to care about this stuff. Whatever it is. Something I was thinking about is when we talk about caring and talk about customer service is your delivery guys and how important that is. Because I was thinking back in the day we used to rooftop all that stuff. And so that was really important to make sure we coordinated and you had certain things set up for that. Now so we were talking again with the lumber company the other day, how much the Moffett has changed people's lives as far as deliveries and things. Probably had to get different guys certified, but to be able to do that. But we used to get everything. Remember we used to have those cranes and and your crane wouldn't swivel; it would just take it off to the side and drop the shingles there, or it had that big conveyor belt. But now that Moffett, we can place things around the house and make it a lot better for the guys. And they don't have to you don't drive by a job site and see 150 squares sitting on top of the roof stacked up where it's going to kill somebody, and probably not sitting on top of the truss and just things that make my life lovely. But so that, how important is that to because that's, again, I think that's something that people forget about is when you're talking about customer service, I'm talking about Brad and SRS, and that's where we get our shingles from. Let's think about that dude's going to be delivering
our delivery drivers are the most important piece, in my opinion, of the operation.
Yeah,
they're the last person the customer sees. They don't see me on the job site.
Mm-hmm.
They see the driver on the job site. And if he's having a bad day or whatever, then we try to coach him, talk to him. Listen, go have your bad day somewhere else. Don't have it in front of the customer.
Yeah. Try
to do everything that you need. If something happens on there, call the operations manager, call the branch manager, call me, whatever. If somebody, because they have they're driving an 80,000 pound truck around in traffic that we drive a vehicle in every day. And how frustrating it can be for us, dealing with traffic and things. And they're constantly getting cut off. They're constantly, worrying about what's strapped down on their load. They're constantly, seeing people drive down the road, texting and calling and distracted and yelling at kids and doing whatever. And so they do a really, really good job. Our guys take pictures of before they unload the truck. They take pictures of the job site or the driveway if they're delivering to it. They take pictures after it's unloaded. They take pictures to make sure that the products and the things that are on that ticket are delivered and dropped off. And that if something happens, it wasn't a shortage here. It may have been a shortage from there, or maybe it helps you cover the your installer to see if they're using more than what they actually should, or if they're it's checks and balances is what it is. And then you can it saves you a phone call too, because that way well, they said we busted this. Well, it was already done. It's already done. Here's the pictures. Here's whatever. Not that we're trying. If we do something, we'll stand behind it.
Yeah.
But if we don't, we always try to cover our butt, which covers your butt as well. And even manufacturing. It helps them too, because if somebody's saying the shingles are stuck together or this or that, or this batch is bad, and we can actually go back to that picture and see what the run number was, and he can look it up and
Absolutely.
see
Yeah.
what happened.
I remember 25 years ago, I was at Western Home Center, and the truck was leaving there, and the guy was standing out there with an actual camera taking a picture of the truck, and I'm like, "Why are you taking a picture of it?" And he goes, "Well, and I think they probably had like a 40-foot microlam beam on there, a couple of them on there." And he goes, "Well, when these guys call me and tell me that they don't have this beam, I'm going to show them this picture because somebody cut blocks out of that 40-foot beam.
Yeah.
It's a $7,000 beam, and they cut
Exactly.
blocks out of it." And he goes, "That's why we're taking pictures of it." But it's you're so right. I mean, today pictures are so important for everything that we're documenting and for the customer, and they want to see everything that we're doing in there. I take pictures of, if I'm running a job, take pictures of the shingles when they're delivered, and then I share them with people, because if somebody made a change order or somebody did pick something different, we always just figure black, as soon as we're getting ready to do the bid, and then we change it when we get the selections later on. And there's been twice in my life that we forgot to change it, and it's not a good day. And so the same thing with brick, you got to take a picture of it and share it with everybody and say, "Hey, look, this is the brick," and people are just going, "Man, is that the brick?" Whatever. I mean, but it documents everything. So those cameras are super helpful.
And going back to what you're talking about with the Moffett and being able to set things around, yeah, I mean, it helps out. It helps out production for you.
Yeah.
If we can get, if we can set a skid in this corner, skid in that corner, skid in another corner, all the way around the house, and then they're not carrying them, all the way across the roof and everything else, and obviously this time of year we really can't do it because of how wet it is, but we can at least get it spread out across the front to where it'll help out. But yeah, and, little things like that that we can do to help speed up. You're not a production builder, but to help speed up the process and make sure that you're not getting behind.
Yeah,
because your houses are extremely large. They are very detail oriented, and losing a day could push you back a week.
What do we think about, when you, because I was just gonna, I feel like we could just keep on talking all day long. Let's get some lunch in here, get some cup of cold beers, and we'll sit around and talk. But I was thinking about that because the last couple jobs that we bid, we've had multiple buildings on the property that we're going to be doing at the same time. So we're moving, shifting those things around. But even then, there are a couple of them that were 125 feet wide, 130 feet wide, and you think about that. When you're going to stack all those shingles over here on the right side of it, and then you got to they're going to try and load it and walk all the way across the roof, or they're going to carry them down, or man, it gets to be a mess. So that's certainly helpful. But the next thing I was thinking about was, just before we wrap up, is the new products. When like our home run customer called you up and they came up and met with you, and he's like, "I want to find out what's new in the world," and I'm like, I wonder what he's going to find. You know, I mean, like, what in Ohio we don't have a whole bunch of different options. When it comes to, I mean, you think about, CertainTeed and all their cool products, but like, what were they looking for? And we got a job coming up to where we're going to do some cedar shakes again. That'll be pretty cool.
Nice.
But I mean, is there different shapes? Is there different sizes? Is there different colors? There's different. What do we got coming up?
Yeah. Naturally, CertainTeed's very well known for luxury products, from presidential through Grand Manors to Belmonts to Highland slates. We have a couple of we have some products that have been out. We have solar shingles as well. Solar product that is introduced and out in the market now as well. We have a Solaris shingle. A Solaris shingle is an energy, I don't want to call it an energy efficient shingle, but it takes less heat on than a traditional asphalt shingle. So there's probably around 15 degrees difference between the two products. So I think you're going to see more on the impact, right? So you always hear about insurance. You're going to see more, you're putting on a class 3 impact resistant product, which gives your homeowner almost the ability to get an additional discount because of that. And, you're going to see more class 4 products come out as well. We have our Northgate and our Landmark Climate Flex that is the highest rated climate or impact shingle there is. So I think you're going to see more development in that. Sometimes I think you're going to, probably in the near future, you may see some robots up on roofs.
Really?
Yeah, installing shingles.
I was going to ask you that because I know that, across the United States, I talk to a bunch of different builders all the time and manufacturers, and the manufacturers are trying to make products easier to install because the skilled labor is less and less and less, and the desire for people to want to work hard and have a skilled craft, So, I mean, are you guys look at that stuff and say, hey, we need to figure out an easier way to install these shingles, or?
We do look at different ways that we can easily install the shingle. But I think we're looking at, I think we're investing some time into robots, not for CertainTeed, but partnering up with some other companies.
I think when I think about the easier install is that when we were doing 3-tabs all the time back in the day, and then dimensional became more popular, you had to understand how to install a dimensional shingle because,
absolutely.
But then wasn't there a true dimensional shingle is actually like a skip tooth, right? I mean, it's a piece of shingle and you have to keep installing it differently. Now, most of our shingles that we're using, they're dimensional, but they're a single sheet.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's very smooth and very efficient when you start that column out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And really, if you look at a dimensional versus a 3-tab, it's much more difficult to install a 3-tab, right? Some more labor is involved with lines. You have a little more, I don't want to call it mess up on the dimensional. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
On a 3-tab.
Less forgiving. Yeah. A lot less forgiving.
Good word.
Yeah. So what's the best way to screw up a roof? I know. I keep saying like we're gonna wrap this up, and then I'm like, "Who's the best roofer in town?" I don't think that. I think that this podcast is for people in general, homeowners and builders. Hopefully, there's guys listening to it. There's people randomly listening to it, and I think that as much of that behind the scenes, detailed information that people can learn is what we want. But then I think it's so cool to listen to your stories from you guys personally about how you got involved in this business and that you weren't just like, well, I'm gonna go be a roof salesman, or
right.
something. You've been doing this your whole life, and you've been doing it. Your whole family's been doing it your whole life, and I never knew all that stuff, and so I think that as we grow as a company and as we have people like you guys working with us, that's super important because that's what we've been talking about here the whole time is about caring and about people and having those things. So that's really neat. So I hope that people understand that it's not like you're gonna just because we're in a buying group and which is how we actually got hooked up with Willoughby when Jason Kennedy was there and we I was like, I don't want to switch, because I don't know who we were using for shingles at the time because it's been 10 or 12 years since we've been with you guys and those guys in that buying group, they don't give a shit. I mean, they're looking at numbers and they're like, well, here's what you're going to buy it for over here. And you would lose the bid if there was another company that was $2, $3 less a square. Right. And you got to hope that there's more guys like me that are standing up there going, you got to think about the service. You got to think about this, think about this. So that was really, really important. It's not just about the numbers and hustling and moving people out of the way that we have a partnership. And
we appreciate that very much. And we understand it. And that's why we try extremely hard to go above and beyond and make sure your expectations are met. The customers, the end customers' expectations are met. And that's why I think that end user, I'm glad you're doing this because that end user needs to understand really how important the exterior products of your house, of your home are.
Yeah. Right.
They're protecting everything on the inside and you see it all the time. And I see it, they're like, they won't spend $30,000 on a roof, but they'll spend $200,000 to remodel a kitchen.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's protecting that kitchen? What's protecting that investment?
Yep.
You have to make sure that whatever you have on the exterior of your house is protecting that investment on the inside, including your family, including your kids, your wife. I mean, you don't want to be laying there in bed and having a drip hit down,
right?
Man.
So that's one of the things that, that people, homeowners need to understand is it's not just, I just need a roof.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that you're getting the roof, having it properly installed the way it should be, because it's protecting the biggest investment that you probably make in your life.
Yep.
And that's your home.
Yeah, it's huge. And I think that's so important that people understand that, don't, because that drives me crazy. These guys that go door to door and they're banging on doors. And because, the reason why it drives me crazy is because they say it's installed properly. They don't call the roofer, they call me. And we're responsible for these things so long. And then you got to get people involved. You got to go back out there and you got to look at it and be like, no, it's installed properly. There's so many different things that happen to it. But, yeah, it's, and I think that probably comes down to you're standing in your kitchen. You're working in your kitchen. You're looking at that. The roof is working for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you don't realize how hard it's working all the time for you to protect your family. But when you're standing in your kitchen, your countertop, you feel good. You're like, yeah, this is really good looking. Good looking granite.
Yeah.
So what else you guys got to add? Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to, you came in here, you're like, this is what I'm going to talk about with Jeff today?
No, we pretty much touched on everything. We thank you for the partnership. We thank you for the open lines of communication that we have and we'll continue to have, and we want to make sure that everything's done in a timely manner for you, and we continue to grow that relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, I'm looking forward to catching up with you, and we're going to do some stuff together. As far as I think that's great, man. Get these guys involved and get some classes going, and especially if we got the home run, all the other builders can come out there and see it, and they can just see the efforts that we're making in this world to make things better for their product. And but I always tell everybody that you guys, we trust you, and our customers trust you because of what you do. When somebody comes, you're not trying to sell them. If Bob came up there and saw you the other day, you're not trying to sell them shingles. You're trying to explain to them and show them the value and show them a number of different things and find out what their wants and needs are. You're not just selling anything. You're providing a value to them, and that's really important.
Yeah, and you have to make sure that they, like Bob, he wanted to see what the latest and greatest and everything was out there. Well, you got to ask, what type of roof do you have? Is it low slope, steep slope, ranch, hip roof, cut up roof? Some shingles, even though you like them on the wall, may not look right on your roof.
Right.
It may not look. Sure. You may not get the look that you're going for. If it's a thicker dimensional or if it's the presidential, and you got a 412 pitch on the dimensional, it's not going to look right because it's going to look like a big, thick chunk of asphalt lines all the way up your roof. So that's one of the things that we do when you send people our way is we'll ask those type of questions to make sure that we're steering them in the right direction to where you're comfortable and we make sure that they're not getting something that they don't want.
Right. Yeah. It's so important, man. And our customers, they want to know. Because we build, I always hear builders say they never want to build for engineers and lawyers, and I mean that's the majority of our customer base, and they are super intrigued and asking questions and want to know details all the time. And I think I take it as a tone of passion from them. They care, they want to know about this stuff, and I'm like, let me nerd it out for you and tell you all this stuff, man. So hey, I can't thank you guys enough, man, for taking time out of your day, coming down here, spending an hour with us or so, and just talking about these things. Thanks for all you do with our company. Thanks for being great partners of ours for all these years, and we're truly grateful. So like I said today, guys, this was Brad Fisher with SRS Distribution and Jeff Herkins with CertainTeed products, and here they are on the WB Download. All right. All right, man. Hey, I really enjoyed that. Like I always say, I really enjoyed it. I never got done with an interview and came on here and said, you know what, that interview sucked and I didn't enjoy it at all. This was horrible. But I just enjoy getting to know people, especially people that I don't know if it's more interesting to get to know people that I don't know or get to know people that I know better. Because I'm always surprised at what people have to say, but I love working with these guys, and this is the first time I've ever met Jeff from CertainTeed, and I was pretty excited to hear what he has to say. That he even took time out of their busy day to come down here to Little Wheeling Builders and do the podcast with us. But they both have interesting points of view. They both have a lot of information, and they both have tons of experience. But I thought it was pretty neat to hear that Brad got his start out at Joel Cornelius out on the west side, because as you know, people from the west side the air just, it smells better over there. It just seems like it's, I'm just kidding, but good old west side people. That was neat to hear that he came from over there. Thank you again, guys, for being on the show. Thanks for all you do with Wheelin' Builders and all of our customers. Thanks for standing behind your product and everything that you guys do. But most importantly, thanks for coming on here and talking to everybody today about what you guys do and stand for and what you sell. So don't forget that we drop on the second and fourth Tuesdays of every month. And we are rolling right through this deal right here because I don't know if we'll get there. I can't remember what date the next one falls on, but my brother Mike, nearly his whole family has a birthday in the first part of May. Him and two of his daughters, anyway, are in the first part of May. And I know there's a couple other people in there, and I can't remember who they are, but we'll get them to them next time. So they're going to be celebrating some birthdays before or just after the next episode. So we're not sure who the next episode and the guests are going to be. Leanne might know, and I can't remember right now, but that'll be a surprise. But we'll catch you guys then. Don't forget to subscribe to the WB Download. Pretty exciting numbers that we're putting up there. I'm always surprised. I was out at Home Rama the other day getting out of my truck, and an old friend of mine named Andy Duesberg, who works for Burns Landscaping, a nursery just across the street from our farm. He comes walking up and out of nowhere, he said something about it. He goes, "Yeah, I listened to that podcast for that particular interview we were talking about." And I was like, "Really?" So I don't know. I guess I'm grateful for you guys all listening. I hope it's informative. I hope if you think it sucks, you would tell me it sucks. If you think it's great, come on the show and let's talk about why you think it's great. Let's talk about what you guys have to offer to this world. So don't forget to subscribe to the WB Download on your favorite podcast service. Go to YouTube, check us out on YouTube. And like I said, if you want to be part of the conversation, call me up, send me an email, wbdownload@wheelinbuilders.com, and check out our website, check out our social media to keep up with updates on all the cool houses that we're building and everything we got going on. So thanks again, everybody, for taking time out of your day to listen to the WB Download. I'm Jeff Wheelan. We appreciate you.